Alright, so today I want to do something a little bit different and show you some of the snakes in my collection. I'm just going to kind of randomly go through and pull out some snakes. As a matter of fact, I just did a head count on how many snakes I have here in my reptile room, and believe it or not, I'm down to only 45 snakes. It's been a long time since I was down to 45. I sold almost all of my hatchlings except two. I decided to have two holdbacks for this year. I had so many awesome snakes, let me tell you. I definitely wanted to keep them all, and the two that I held back were males because I have so many females. I definitely need to increase my number of males. Although some of those females, you know, you have some really awesome stuff, and then you kind of regret selling them. You know, you can't hold back everything. You definitely have to kind of downsize. And the problem is if you hold back too many snakes, in the future years, eventually what happens is like next year, I want to hold back some more, and then the next year, I'll want to hold back some more. And if you hold too many back from this year, you pretty much fill your racks with all the holdbacks for a certain season. So I'm just going to kind of limit myself to only 2 per year. And I sold pretty much all my hatchlings except one that one guy is still making payments on. So other than that, I'm just down to my 2 holdbacks. And the first thing I want to show you is this one around my neck. This is Bobby. He is my bamboo ball python. Just a straight bamboo with no other genes in it. And he is pretty awesome. He is a 7-year-old male. You may have seen him if you've seen some of my other videos. He is a really super friendly ball python. Probably the friendliest snake I've ever seen in my life. He's super tame. You know, I'm here in front of the camera making YouTube videos with Bobby every single day. And it's kind of interesting working with a snake every single day, how tame that snake will get. It's pretty awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over and just start pulling some snakes. I want to show you some of these awesome snakes. I think I want to start with my 2 holdbacks. Those are some pretty awesome hatchlings. Alright, so take a look at this beauty. This is one of my holdbacks from last year. So this is actually Bobby's grandchild, is what it is. So Bobby actually produced a whole bunch of bamboos, and one of those bamboos was a bamboo calico, which was pretty awesome. Come to find out that bamboo calico is 50% het desert ghost. I haven't proven it out to figure out if it actually has one copy of the desert ghost gene. And then I took that bamboo calico from Bobby and I bred it to a lemon blast, and this one got all the genes. So this is a pastel pinstripe calico bamboo, 50%, well, it's actually just a possible het desert ghost because the parent was 50% het desert ghost. So it's a pretty slim chance, but it's possible that this one may have one copy of the desert ghost gene. And look at how beautiful it is. Look at how white the sides are starting to really lighten up on that calico. That is pretty awesome. And it seems like these calicos, when they start out, they're not really that white on the sides. And then as they get older, as they mature, they get really super bright white on the sides. This one's kind of interesting too. If you can actually see, it almost has this gray line like halfway down the snake. I've never really seen that much gray in a ball python, just kind of randomly in the middle of a bamboo combination. And I thought for a while maybe this was a world's first, and I looked over on Morphmarket, and sure enough, someone produced one like this at some point, although it wasn't possible at Desert Ghost. But this is a really pretty unusual combination, and this is a male. So I'm really looking forward to breeding this to, you know, if I can, you know, I can actually breed this to like a normal, and I get the pastels, the pinstripes, the bamboos, and the calicos, and all those genes mixed together. I get a whole bunch of really awesome stuff. So that is pretty much one of my best holdbacks as far as males from the year. He is really awesome. Alright, so here's my other holdback. Take a look at this beauty. This is Sparky. Sparky is really scared. I don't know. I went in there and he's all balled up into this little ball, even before I even went into the tub, which is kind of crazy. It's weird that ball pythons just kind of form this little kind of a ball. That's why they call them ball pythons. And let's see if we can kind of tease them out a little bit. So what this is actually a coral glow pinstripe. I was trying to make these before. I made one, I think it was the year before last. I just made one coral glow pinstripe, and I actually decided to sell it at the show. As a matter of fact, I just brought it to the show and I was kind of showing it off, and someone says, hey, I want to buy that snake, and I wasn't really intending on selling it, and then I thought, oh, I'll just make another one. And this time I actually produced 2 of them this year, and I sold one of them, and I decided to hold back one as a future breeder. So I do have a coral glow, and my coral glow is just a straight coral glow, 100% het pied. So then I took that and I bred it to a pinstripe, and sure enough, I actually got this Coral Glow pinstripe. This is 50% het pied, so there's a 50% chance it carries one copy of the pied gene. And look at how cute that face is. So cute. That is one of the cutest snakes I've ever seen. And these Coral Glow pinstripes, when they're hatchlings, they're absolutely stunning. And you know, with a lot of the Coral Glow combinations, a lot of times they'll kind of develop these little spots. And if you're not used to the spots, when you're buying a banana or a Coral Glow, you'll actually see little specks that almost look like mites. And let me tell you, this one does not have mites. I haven't had mites in my collection pretty much since I started. I started at the very beginning and I didn't quarantine at all. And sure enough, it was like my first year. It was like a year and a half I was into snakes. And I was just buying these random snakes on Morphmarket and got mites in my collection. And let me tell you, if you've ever had mites once, you will try your very best to never get mites in your life again. See if I can get this guy to kind of unroll a little bit. So this one is also 50% het pied, although on the het pieds on the Coral Glows or the pinstripe combinations, you really can't see any markers like you would on some of the other ones. Hey, he's finally came out to see. I haven't really held this one hardly at all, so this one is a little bit, you know, it's not really used to being held. Although, you know, from my experience, it seems like what I've seen in my Coral Glow line is that for some reason the Coral Glows seem really friendly. Just, you know, even as hatchlings, they're not really as jumpy or bitey or as aggressive as a lot of the other snakes that I've seen as hatchlings. And a lot of people actually say they have some bananas that are pretty aggressive, which I don't know. I don't know if it depends on the line or if it just depends on just random luck getting a friendly snake or a snake that's a little bit more nippy as a hatchling. Look at how beautiful that thing is. It's definitely one of my favorite combinations, and it's not a really expensive combination, and it's a pretty simple 2-gene combination. It is pretty awesome. It's kind of interesting on this one how it's kind of wiped out on the sides here a little bit, which is pretty interesting. Almost looks like some calico or something coming up, although from the breeding, there's definitely no calico in this mix. Pretty awesome combination. Alright, so I thought I'd throw this one in. This is my only other hatchling that is on hold. Someone's making payments, just has a little bit left to pay off. As a matter of fact, I just shipped one out last week, one of my last ones. And this is my very, very last hatchling of the year. Let me tell you, it's a lot easier not having to, you know, clean and maintain 100 hatchlings. It can get, you know, it kind of adds to everything else, taking care of all the hatchlings, although it's probably one of the most, you know, probably one of the funnest parts of raising ball pythons is just checking out all the hatchlings and kind of playing with them. This one is a pastel calico, the combination of just 2 genes. It's a male, and this guy's name is Joker. Pretty awesome snake. And this snake, when I first hatched him out, I actually was having problems assist feeding this snake. And I think I assist fed this one about 3 or 4 times, and then it finally went over to mice. That's why it's a little bit smaller than my other ones. Although, you know, lately it's been really eating really well. It definitely has just been chowing down the mice, looking really good. And this one, if you actually look at the belly, nothing really happening on the belly. This one has the calico, so everything with calico in it for my hatchlings is possible het desert ghost. Really good looking snake. Alright, so take a look at this girl. She's so big I had to lift the camera up to get it all in the screen. She is a really big girl. I've been trying to breed this girl for the last couple years and she has not been producing for me. This is actually a pinstripe pied, really awesome girl, 4 years old, and she is really super picky when it comes to eating. I tried to breed her last year and she fasted for most of the year, finally came back on food, and she's been eating really well lately here just for the last month and a half or so. She's getting some pretty good weight. I'm going to try to pair her up again. As a matter of fact, I'm like right in the middle of the beginning of the breeding season. This is after my very first month breeding. I started pairing up about a month ago, cycled my males through all the females just once, and now they're all taking a break. I fed everyone, and it's almost time to pair them up again. So this girl, she's actually eating a few rodents. Hopefully she'll actually go and give me a nice clutch of eggs. But I absolutely love what the pinstripe does does to the pied. It's almost like a golden color on the pied. And when this girl was smaller, let me tell you, this gold was so bright and intense. It was like a metallic looking pied. And you know, she got a little bit older and it kind of faded a little bit, but she's still a really beautiful snake. And I really like the kind of the border around the colors between the gold color and the white. She has like this black speckling in here, which is pretty awesome. She is a really awesome snake. Alright, so take a look at this snake. This is kind of an unusual snake. This is what I'm calling a dinker, which is kind of an unusual snake. It's supposed to be just a normal 50% het pied that I produced 2 years ago. Look at how big she is for being 2 years old. She's eating really good. As a matter of fact, this year I'm actually pairing her up. And the weird thing about this is if you actually look at her belly, she kind of has some interesting belly tracks on her belly. Like she looks like she is 100% het pied if I were to guess, but the weird thing is all these markers kind of on her side. Look at the pattern on her side, really kind of unusual looking normal. I actually produced this from my Coral Glow, bred to a normal, and my Coral Glow is 100% het pied, so I'm thinking that's where she got the possible het pied from. I'm pretty sure she's het pied, and if you look at the pattern right on the top, she's got this really strong line with these like bubbles in the line, which is kind of crazy. And this year, look at how big she is. She's doing really well. And I thought, yeah, I actually posted a video on this, and a lot of people are saying, hey, can you give us an update on your dinker project? And I'm actually trying to breed her this year for the first time at 2 years old. I think she's got enough weight. She's definitely looking really chunky. As a matter of fact, I think she just ate like 2 rats. That's why she looks like she's almost overfull. I think she's bloated from those last 2 rats. And I'm actually breeding her back to the Coral Glow, which, you know, a lot of people say you probably shouldn't line breed like that, but it's kind of, I wanted to breed it back to the male that produced it to see if this is just one copy of the gene or if I can make a super with something new popping out. If this is just one copy and I brought it back to the Coral Glow and produced a super, that would be crazy. I'm hoping this is a new gene. You know, some people say it could be just an unusual looking normal, or it could be, you know, something that I'm just not familiar with in this combination. But that is one of the craziest looking snakes that I've seen as far as just being a normal. Alright, so take a look at this girl. This is Bubble, and Bubble is a pinstripe, just a straight pinstripe with no other genes. And kind of the funny thing is, if you look back in some of my videos, I actually did a live stream marathon. I did 3 12-hour marathon live streams all in a row. It was kind of crazy. And I was going through all my snakes and putting them on my shoulder. You know, I'd start with Bobby, and Bobby, of course, was the tamest ball python in my whole collection. And then I put most of the other snakes, and they were really kind of skittish and would kind of choke me out. And then I came to Bubble, and the funny thing about Bubble is this snake, I think it's even tamer than Bobby. I don't know where this snake came from. I actually bought her as an adult. This is a big female pinstripe, and it's kind of interesting because when I put her around my neck, she would just kind of mellow out and wouldn't even move at all. As a matter of fact, Bobby was getting kind of anxious every now and then, and I'd switch back over to Bubble because this snake was so mellow. And she's been eating really good too, so I think she's gonna have a nice clutch of eggs. As a matter of fact, I actually bred my Coral Glow to this one to get my Coral Glow pinstripe holdbacks. So that is where it came from. It came from my Coral Glow and from Bubble. Pretty awesome snake. Alright, so take a look at this girl. This is a really big pied female. She is a beast. And last year, it was kind of interesting. She laid a clutch of 8 eggs, and none of those eggs had veins or embryos in them when they were laid. And I put them in the incubator for about a month, and after, you know, you're supposed to keep them in there for 60 days, you know, until they hatch. And after about 30 days, I went back in and checked on them. No veins, no embryos, no development, and some of them, or most of them, were starting to mold. It was kind of the weirdest thing that I've ever seen. I've actually seen I think maybe 1 or 2 eggs like that, just random eggs in a clutch, but I've never seen a whole clutch of eggs where they were laid and they all looked like good fertile eggs, but none of them developed, so it was kind of crazy. And this girl, she's been back on food, which is good. She ate 8 rodents after she laid those eggs, so I went ahead and paired her up, and hopefully she'll lay another clutch of eggs this year. I'm actually breeding this one with I think I'm breeding it with my fire pied this year. I'll have to go back on my schedule and look, but it seems like every year I kind of change up, you know, as far as what I'm trying to get from this girl. I'm trying to get more visual pied females in my collection, which would be pretty awesome. And I've had this girl, she's actually, let's see, she's from 2015, so she's 5 years old and still has not laid a clutch of eggs. That was good, you know, that was the last clutch of eggs. That was the first clutch of eggs on year 4 that she laid, which is kind of frustrating. 4 years before you get eggs, and then you get all the eggs and they're all bad, which is kind of crazy. So this is her 5th year. Of course, the first 2 years, you normally don't breed them, and I didn't breed her for the first 3 years because she's kind of a picky eater. As a matter of fact, they actually raised this one mostly on live rodents, and that's kind of the problem. I was kind of hesitant to feed a lot of live to this girl. It's kind of maddening, you know. I try to feed, you know, frozen thawed over and over. As a matter of fact, this last week I was trying to feed her frozen thawed. I tried like several times in the week. I tried, you know, the heated ones from the lamp, and, you know, a whole bunch of different techniques for frozen thawed, kind of sticking it in there in the dark and shaking it. And then I tried a live rat with this girl, and the funny thing is when I open the tub, and as soon as that live rat just kind of gets to the entrance of the tub, this girl jumps up and grabs it. Just kind of drives me mad. I don't know how they can tell the difference between a live and a frozen thawed. It seems like you can get the frozen thawed to almost the same temperature. So I don't know what it is about this girl and live rodents, but it seems like that's the only thing she'll take, and I do not like to feed live if at all possible. But she's a really awesome snake. Alright, take a look at this big old girl. She is massive. This is my lesser female. She's been eating really good. And last year she had the year off and she fasted for most of the year. And then for whatever reason, it's just all of a sudden here in the last little bit, they all came back on food and started eating really good. And look at how big and chunky she is. So this is just a lesser, just a single gene lesser. I'm actually breeding this to my bamboo calico, which is pretty awesome. If I actually hit the bamboo lessers, that's a blue-eyed leucistic, an all-white snake with blue eyes. So I should get some white snakes out of this. I know last year a lot of people were asking, hey, where's all your white snakes? And both my lessers were fasting pretty much the whole year last year, and I gave them both the year off. And this year they're doing really well. This one's eating a lot better than my other one. I have another one that looks almost exactly like this, maybe a little bit smaller. And this one, I should get some lessers, some bamboos, some bamboo lessers, and some calico in the mix as far as that. But she is doing really well. I actually bought this as part of a collection when I first started in ball pythons. I think I bought like 8 or 10 females. And look at how thick she is. She almost looks like she's ovulating. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Of course, you can't ovulate this early. I just started pairing up like last month. It's been almost a little bit over a month, maybe about 5 or 6 weeks since I started pairing up my snakes. But look at how big and chunky she is. Pretty awesome lesser female. Alright, so this is my biggest ball python. Look at how big this girl is. She is so massive. This is just a normal 100% het caramel albino. And I'm breeding, this year I'm actually breeding my bamboo lesser. I actually have a male bamboo lesser that's a blue-eyed leucistic. I'm breeding it to this girl. So half the offspring should come out lesser, half will come out as bamboo if she actually lays eggs. Last year I tried to breed her and I tried to pair her up and she didn't go last year. Look at how big and chunky she is. She is a really massive girl. As a matter of fact, usually when she's full of eggs, right before she lays, she is over 5,000 grams. Definitely one of my biggest ball pythons. She's so big, I could barely even get her on the table. She is kind of crazy. And I actually bought her as a really big snake over on Morphmarket. I was shopping for snakes. This is one of the very first snakes I got when I first started in ball pythons. And I was really looking for something to boost my production, trying to get the biggest females over on Morphmarket. And I picked up 2 of these. I have 2 of them exactly the same. They are normal females, 100% het caramel albino, although I have never really proved out the het caramel caramel albino. I just sell the offspring as a 50% het caramel albino, but look at how big she is. She is a monster. Alright, so this is the last one I want to show you. This is one of the ones I took a chance on this year. Look at how beautiful this girl is. Probably one of the most beautiful ball pythons that I have in my collection. This one is a visual desert ghost. This is the potential of the desert ghost. That is pretty awesome. So this one's actually this is a pastel spider desert ghost. The pastel brings in a lot of the yellow color, and then the spider really gives you this really crazy pattern on the ball python. And kind of the weird thing is she has this gray line right down the top of the snake, which is kind of interesting. You get kind of these weird anomalies as far as some of the patterns and kind of little flecking, like this little black flecking all over the place. And she has the spider gene. The spider kind of gets a bad name for head wobble. And if you actually really take a look at this girl, she has zero head wobble. And as far as the head wobble, let me tell you, you cannot tell this girl has spider in her at all. If you actually kind of get her up and move it around at all, it's pretty amazing. And I was kind of wondering if the desert ghost kind of eliminated the head wobble in some of your spider combinations. It's the first time I've ever personally had a spider desert ghost combination, but this girl is fantastic. I actually have a male that almost looks exactly like this without the spider. It is a pastel, as a matter of fact, it's a pastel Enchi desert ghost. We found out it was Enchi because I actually produced some Enchi offspring from that one, but this is an absolutely crazy looking snake. And it seemed like when it was smaller, it was even more intense. And she's been, I kind of took a chance on this girl. Look at how big and chunky she is. She's really super thick. She just came back on food. And kind of the weird thing is this year, I've been doing things a little bit different. So normally if a female is not eating, I won't pair them up for the year. And this year on a few of my females, I decided, all right, I'm just going to pair them up and see if the pairing would stimulate the appetite as far as getting them back on food. And sure enough, this girl was on a fast for a couple months, and as soon as I paired her up, she started eating again, which is like, you know, completely counterintuitive as far as what I would have normally done. Normally, I would not have paired her up, and this year I just kind of took a chance to see if it would actually work. And every year I try something a little bit different. So my breeding schedule this year is a little bit different than last year. I'm kind of doing 3 days. I take a male, put it in with a female for 3 days, and then I'll move that male to another female for another 3 days. And then what I'll do is I'll give them 5 days off. I'll give them a day off, and then I'll feed them, and then give them 3 days off, and then go back through the cycle again for pretty much the same cycle, with males going through another couple females. So I'll take one male and breed it to a maximum of 4 females. Hopefully that'll work this year. So it's pretty much like a 1 month schedule that I have kind of going on, with a kind of a break in the middle of the month as far as my breeding schedule. So that is, this girl is so awesome. As a matter of fact, if I didn't have Bobby, I'd probably have this snake around my neck. This is just an absolutely beautiful, probably the most beautiful snake I've ever seen, besides Bobby, of course. Bobby is pretty awesome. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.